S-tier picks as possible.
Yeah. And it's also a huge disruptor towards an assassin jungler and an open gold laner. So if you want to pick up an assassin, you want to pick up an open a gold laner. Basically, you're putting yourself in a extremely vulnerable position, and you're opening up, like you said, opening up quite a bit of options for yourself. You got the Phobias, you got to juice in once again. The Freya is still not being banned out right here. Marcel is still wide and open for anyone's taking as well.
I think a lot more pressure for the side of Team Malaysia. Instead, losing that first game is not looking good. I bet in terms of morale as well. Oh, Zorn being subbed in for the side of Team Malaysia this time around for the side of the Roam.
Yep, Hisham is taking over Akif in the Roam as of now. That might change things a little bit. Zorn does have a very protect your family kind of playstyle about him, plays around that team, tries to slow down and wait for his team to come in for support before committing into a team fight.
Yep, Freya ban. Coming up beside Team Indonesia, the Juicing ban as well opens up the Marcel. Does have the Phobias in hand as well. Which one do you first pick? If you are Team Malaysia, you first pick the Marcel, right? Because Indonesia, Alexander was just using that Marcel to great success. Yeah,
it's still pretty open options. I think that there's still a lot of ways to counter this Marcel. One of the ways that a lot of teams like to do, what a lot of teams like to do is pick up the Valentina instead. So Malaysia on the first pick with a Claude. We've seen a lot of high priority on the Claudes because of the insurance that it brings.
Take away Claude first pick and B1 pick is definitely, I would say, a little bit foolhardy. Yeah, that means that, you know, Indonesia, if they really want to go for that Phobias Marcel pick, that's great. But at the very least, I feel like if you're Team Malaysia, you just really want to counter pick Dingerai's Claude away. It feels like he's too comfortable with this particular hero.
It's open for options. There's I think, yeah, I agree with you, Phobias, and the Marcel pick for Indonesia would work out well, and then hold on to a carry in the late game, and then play against that carry once again. But no, they're trying to open it up. They're trying to bait Malaysians taking that that one up.
Okay, Marcel is still open. Phobias also not in the book as of now. Team Indonesia going for the Baxia, prioritizing early game rotations as well. The Eve real world manipulation is also something that's been coming back. Could just shred through a lot of these tank junglers that we're seeing a lot so far recently, especially from Group A.
I think Malaysia might not want to change too much. They might go for the Fredrin instead, and maybe even pick up the.
Gonna get shredded by Eve, though.
There's a choice. I think you either pick one, or either pick up the Marcel or pick up the Phobias. But no, they're going for the Akai and the Gord. Because I was saying, like, hey, you know, let's open up that Fredrin. Let's pick up the Fredrin once again. But Akai seems like a much better choice, which I would say I forget.
Akai definitely coming back into meta right now. But if you're Akai, I mean, yes, you can kind of catch onto Eve before she really opens up the real world manipulation, and you also see a lot of teams starting to pull off the combo on the Akai and Gord. It's similar to what we saw back in MPL Singapore, right? The Gaja kind of one combo, right? You pin somebody down, and then after that you just let Gord just unleash the Mystic Gush. But again, if Yi goes into the real world manipulation already, the Kai can come in and try to push, but albeit, you know, you only do nothing. But of course, you know, Akai is still solid in terms of turtle takedown, in terms of neutral objective takedown. The heavy spin is definitely going to be great. Don't forget, unfortunately, Indonesia has already picked Eve. I would say Valentina is a open pick for the side of Akai. But Akai, you know, feels like unconsensus right now if you're a side of Team Malaysia.
Typically at this phase, Malaysia would try to whittle down the EXP pool like they did in the first game. So the first game, you don't really have access to a Sora, the Yuzhong, the Freyas, and the Paquitos. Right now, it's still quite on the tables, and I felt like the EXP for Indonesia actually had a lot of issues. So whittling down the gold lane pool instead. This is the shift that Coach Saint DeLucas wants to go for Malaysia.
But you do have a way to counter and deal with this Harif from the side of Team Malaysia though.
You just
Using
want
the ban for Harif?
Yeah, it does make sense because you want Elton to have a pretty fun time in the gold lane. You want him to have a winning lane, so you don't have to worry too much about the gold lane and try to find objectives elsewhere.
Maybe that's the case. I feel like right now there's also, you know, other things that you can also look up to ban, right? Lapu Lapu is something that I feel, especially when you're going for a god. Don't forget the Yuzhong as well. That is still open right now. It's also very... it also opens up Gord to a very vulnerable position, especially when you got the Black Dragon form to fly around, land on a Petrify, and then after the yada yada, down. And now, Moskov banned away from the side of Team Malaysia. Indonesia though, I feel like the Yuzhong is really a no-brainer here.
You could go with the Yuzhong and then...
Or the Lapu. Either one of them.
Yuzhong towards the Gord is pretty good. At least you couple it with the Atlas as well, so at least you have two ways of engage potential. But I want to say, hey, there could be another option for them, which is the... Leslie. I know, a little bit of a dramatic pause, but it kind of looks
Crazy
pretty
idea
good.
number 4.
Crazy idea number 4, but it kind of works out well. You have you're dealing with a lot of range from the Gord and the Claude as well, so it kind of works in. But no,
about
roll with
range.
the Granger.
Talk about range. Granger was interestingly banned by the side of Indonesia in game number 1. Seems like they know what's up. This is also a tale as go as time, especially in the previous patch. Granger, albeit giving way over the side of Harif in terms of the prior picks as well. There's also, you know, some of the teams rocking in to a certain extent the Bruno as well to really start the lane bully the Claude out of it. There you go. Hisham on his signature choke.
Yeah, we're always looking forward to Zorn's Cho, and he's playing it on an international stage. This might be the change that they need. In game number 2 against Indonesia, Lapu Lapu will be picked up, so Indonesia still, again, Yuzhong would be one of the best picks right here, unless they want to try to go for Sora, which is a little bit risky. You do have a little bit of cloud farm, cloud control onto the back lines, but do you want to risk it with the Sora instead?
I feel Sora works to a certain extent because of your cloud search. The whole idea for the side of Team Indonesia right now is trying to put everybody inside the box and then Granger to shoot into the box. It's basically like Granger shooting fish into a barrel, right? But there's also disengage coming out from the side of Team Malaysia in the form of Way of the Dragon on the Cho. There's also the Bravest Warrior from the side of Lapu Lapu, which deals really well against
There
you go. The Sora that you mentioned, Churros, Indonesia picked that up. And there you go. It's the same thing. It's similar, right? Atlas Fatal Links into a Sora Cloud Ultimate. Man, I feel like there's so many things that Team Malaysia has to look out for once again.
Yeah, early game is going to be difficult for Team Malaysia, but hey, never underestimate Zorn's Cho. He's been playing it quite often in his own region. He's bringing it into the international stage to see how Indonesia is able to handle his Cho. Now the draft is set, and you know, going back to the analogy of a fish tank, for Indonesia it's all about creating a fish tank, and then Atlas and Sora just goes fishing, draws everyone into that RWM, draw everyone into that box, and just let Granger just do his thing. Dingerai is going to have a field day on this one. On the side of Malaysia though, will Lapu Lapu and the Cho and the swap over onto Hisham be that change that they need to take one game off of Indo?
Yeah, but don't forget, Team Malaysia is on a scaling comp, right? You've got the Claude, you've got the Gord to a certain extent, the Lapu early game pop off. If the Lapu Lapu pops off, Delvin on the Eve is going to have a lot of trouble, and to a certain extent, even Dingerai as well, right? But of course, you know, if you take a look at Team Indonesia, just well, technically speaking, the Granger can do quite a decent chunk of damage against the Sakai, but apart from that, I feel like the only way that Indonesia will be able to deal with it is through this Eve, right? The Void Crystal could just shred through HP, especially after you secure the Glowing Wand.
Yep. Indonesia does have quite a bit of utility, not only from the Eve, but from the Atlas as well. You're able to slow down a lot of the approaches that Malaysia will bring to the table. Great gap closer in the form of a Sora, who's able to find nice little flanks and push them back into the core of the skirmishes and the heart of the skirmishes. And Granger is one of those heroes as well. You don't really need to bother about him during the laning phase. He does have quite a bit of higher base defense than Claude, so he will scale up a little bit faster, but at the late game, Claw's damage is just unparalleled. Just melting potential is right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to land the Blazing Duet as compared to your Rhapsody, right? Rhapsody, you can only shoot straight for Blazing Duet as long as you are in the vicinity. You're doing a lot of damage, right? And of course, you know, on the Granger, don't forget, once you hit the Sky Piercer, maybe you could just snipe down the Gort even before that could happen. There is also, you know, for the side of Dingarai, you got your Cho, and also to a certain extent, Akai that will beeline to you. I think that's also one way for the side of Rhapsody to just land its mark.
So we're jumping straight into the game. This is game number 2, Malaysia versus Indonesia. Will the changes that Malaysia bring to the table and the substitution from Hisham into the room make a difference? We'll have to wait and see.
Yep, going into game number 2. Currently, as of now, it seems like, you know, NASA is going to start at the Lizard and also the Beetle for the side of Team Indonesia. Yeah, it's just like, you know, teams are starting to really react to the new patch. I love it, I like it. But that also means that both of these two teams will end in the EXP lane after one rotation.
Yep, Hisham making a lot of damage onto Delvin right from the get-go, splitting up that team fight, splitting the heads to try to disrupt that early game, mid-game potential from Indonesia. With the Atlas and the Eve, I feel like this is pretty decent wave clear potential, and then start that rotation towards the mid side of the map.
Yep. Early game potential, definitely going to have to give it over to the side of Indonesia, Team Indonesia, right? The Granger and also Delvin, not too shabby either in terms of wave clear, but Afan looking for the clash onto Hisham right there. Alexander takes a bit of a Mystic Bomb stun coming out from Amar for now. Hisham still tempting his fate right here. Shunpo in and out, saying hi over to Alexander, saying hi, giving the welcome to Mystic Bomb, and it's going to be first blood, giving the side of Team Malaysia.
Right off the bat, Hisham making a huge difference, just showing that prowess on that Cho, and he's just playing mind games towards Indonesia, but still a little bit too soon to say.
Literally. Alright, so great start for the side of Team Malaysia. Already 1 kill over the side of Amar, allowing him to scale just a little bit more. But of course, you know, Team Indonesia currently in the goal lane is still equal so for now. So yeah, definitely Indonesia, I think they have to start to play a little bit more tighter, especially around the gold lane. But seems like both these two teams already met down the EXP.
Yeah, Hisham is just tagging on to wherever Alexander is. I think he understands that that is the problem. I'm going to be finding where Alexander is. I'm going to be opening up that map for Malaysia to just come in to do their thing. So this is going to be the biggest test here. It's the first Lord of the game.
Real world manipulation as well, already committed by the side of Delvin. Xiaoyuki trying to find onto the assassination onto Amar. Amar going down. Alexander picking up that kill. Turtle given over the side of Team Malaysia already, as it's going to be the Sora jumping into the sky, but then taken down. But it's going to be a trade between the Akai and also the Sora.
Yep, great damage onto the Sora, but effective start from Malaysia. Delvin set up the RWM a little bit too early. Malaysia identified this. Hisham was able to disrupt that back line. Delvin didn't have a lot of maybe passives on him to be able to lay down the initial burst damage, but I think for Hisham, he was just disrupting onto the back line. You see where he goes, he's just pushing them back. Indonesia wasn't able to follow up.
I like what Dingarai is doing, actually passing all the way to the mid to try to get as much farm as possible. Speaking of which, Mr. Gush committed by the side of Amar. Afan getting melted down. Here comes the heavy spin, but hold on a second, the Fatal Link's coming over to Alexander. Delvin, real world manipulation as well. Touch and go for now, no casualties.
Good pickup potential, but baiting out a ultimate for the Flicker himself. Hisham doesn't have the Flicker for the next 120 seconds. But this is good. Malaysia's just drawing all these team fights away from that gold lane, so Alton has a much easier time this time around. You notice how a lot of the team fights is situated around Hisham, just drawing out these skills, drawing out these ultimates, where the top side is just left to their own devices.
Instant replay. coming up from the side of between these two teams, just showcasing, you know, the different heroes in terms of different lanes, what is going on. But so far, I feel like a lot more pressure. Oh, Hisham catching on to Alexander right here. Here comes a missing gush. Alexander goes to the putback match.
Yes, yeah,
will be able to get caught by Nasa picking that kill up.
Great alley-oop from Hisham. Now, this is starting to hurt Indonesia quite a little bit. There's not a lot of ways to deal with that Cho, especially when Zorn is piloting it. You have to deal with someone that's so sneaky, someone that's so slippery. And Alexander, yes, you do have that Fatal Links, but Hisham can just mitigate that with the immunity.
Yeah. The Shunpo, you know, that getaway jail-free card, right? To be able to just at the very least burn away some utilities coming out from the side of Indonesia. Hisham catching on to Delvin as well, and Hisham still going on at the same time. Xiaoyuki trying to do the same against Amar. Elton joining the crowd at the same time, does have the place to do it. Intel, the Mystic Gush, but denied by the Fatal Legs. Indonesia trying to turn around. Two members of the side team, Malaysia down. Nathan going in with a heavy spin. It is unfortunate for the side team Malaysia, losing 3 just now.
Starting that team fight, losing 3 in the process. Indonesia turn back around that team fight. This is pretty much the same thing that they have done in game number 1. But honestly though, Hisham made a extremely good call. It was just Malaysia was like, hey, should I follow up? Should I not? And then that bought a lot of time for Indonesia to bring Shoki up from that bottom side towards that turtle pit area. Delvin was still alive. Somehow, Hisham wasn't able to take him down, and Amar was just forced his way in, brute forced his way in, used up that flicker, tried to close that gap.
Yeah, I mean, giving kills over to Xiaoyuki is great, right? I love how Xiaoyuki going opted for the Thunder form. Instead, there's going to be another kick coming out from the side of Hisham as well. Hisham picking up a kill onto Delvin. No real world manipulation, but Xiaoyuki will respond the same mid for a mid. But it's going to be Nathan pinning up on all the way to the wall as well. Real world manipulation though. Already going to be down, Fatal Links pulling, but it's going to be Dingerai picking up a double kill. That's going to be Sky versus Stacks for days for the side of Team Indonesia.
It's back to even once again. It's 8 to 8 kills. Just bought so much time for Dingerai to come down, and Delvin is just not having a good time this game. He's always on Hisham's mind, and Delvin just cannot get rid of this guy.
Man, it's just the fact that Hisham is just stacking onto Delvin. And take a look at this replay. I feel like there's a lot of things that's happening as well as Jules. Help me break this down.
Yeah, Hisham just started things off. The turtle aside though, Najan using the heavy spin to lock everything down, but for Malaysia, it was like, hey, okay, you guys are fighting, okay, I'm coming in. So it wasn't really a well-coordinated team fight. Hisham just found it. It's more instinctual playstyle than anything else. For Indonesia, though, they tried their best to try to counter-engage, but Malaysia, right now, the instincts have won them that team fight this time around.
Yeah, I feel like just the fact that Hisham finding those pickouts onto Delvin is been the biggest problem for the side of Team Indonesia.
Yeah.
No real-world manipulation. You're running low on damage. However, luckily for the side of Team Indonesia, they opted for the Sora, which means that in terms of the Thunder form, they are able to find that additional damage that they're desperately sorely needed to find Amar, bust him down, and then after that, just rotate.
A much tougher game this time around, especially because, okay, hold on, Fatal Links.
Elton all the way back. At the same time, there's going to be a shutdown from the side of Elton onto Dingerai as well. Hisham is just pulling around Alexander, forcing the Fatal Links as well. That's one big resource burn.
Big mind games that Hisham is playing. That one change of that role just changed the tide of the battle. I think right now, Malaysia does have the upper hand. They're a little bit more slowed down. He's calling that shots. He's making the plays. He's creating that space that Elton actually needs. Right now, Elton is up 2-0-0. He's having a pretty decent time this game around, and he's still building that Holy Trinity up. He's playing that mind games. He's playing that mental game, and he's just pulling everything away from Indonesia and away from Elton.
A kick coming out from the side of Hisham, potentially looking at a fun right here. Xiaoyuki coming in, will be able to zone Amar away. Nathan still secure the turtle at the same time. Dingerai just gunning on Hisham in the wrong space. There's going to be a Sky stack given over the side of the Granger already. A fun onto Elton, and I can hear Vicker already being committed, trying to commit to the chase, but it would not be for nothing.
Hisham created so much space for them to take that turtle and go straight into the offensive. He bobbed and weaved around. Xiaoki alone was not able to take up that back line. for now, Elton still has ways to go for the Holy Trinity to be built up. Only left with the Golden Staff, but Dignarai, 5 kills, he's up ahead, and that's going to be a very, very scary danger if you want to play a 5-on-5 team fight. So how Malaysia could potentially play around this is maybe use Hisham to draw those team fights away from the side lanes. They could just very well go for a 4-on-1.
I feel like right now it's just all about adaptation, right? If Indonesia is able to find how Team Malaysia likes to play, especially using Hisham to basically try to pick off and then, you know, give the kill over to Amar with the Mystic Gush, or maybe even him because he is already right in front of their faces. I think that's how Team Malaysia always plays. So now Team Indonesia, they've adapted, they know how to react to that one, and now they're targeting on Hisham.
Oh, but that's so smart from Malaysia, using Hisham as sort of like that target block. They didn't know where Elton is, so this is basically the empowerment that Elton really needs in game number 2. It's just so annoying to deal with Hisham. You want to catch him, he just shimpos out. You want he goes in straight for your backline, and then the rest of Malaysia just really comes, and you're taking a fight that you're not ready to take.
Look, Nasan, taking a round of damage, counting us out, Dingarai for now. But Team Indonesia, it seems like, you know, they're trying to climb out this fight, trying to find a good pick-up, but of course, you know, when you climb up like that one, it means that Hisham could always easily come in with at least a 3-man knockup, a potential heavy spin, and then CC all the way to Dev, and that's where the Amar, Mystic Gush come in. So yeah, I'm not liking how Indonesia all of a sudden just kind of lost that process right there for a moment, but it seems like they suddenly regain conscious, and then after that, they disperse.
Indonesia does still have a roster that excels in base defense or turret defense. So if you want to take in a defensive position, Indonesia's roster is just creating that kill box, creating that kill zone, drawing you into that, and just gunning you down. The only issue is if Hisham is able to take Delvin out, you don't really have a kill box anymore.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of resources committed onto one Hisham as well. Not only just the Fatal Links, but also the ultimate coming off and fun as well. Amar going to get a Mystic Gush, a little bit too much by Team Indonesia. Delvin, Red Wall manipulation finally committed. Nasan taking some punishment from the side. Xiaoyuki is just going to be a roam trader for jungle. Worth it for Team Malaysia.
So worth it. This is an incredible response coming in from Malaysia. Hisham was left all alone. Forced Alexander's hand on the Fatal Links, pulling Hisham back, and just bought so much time. He's, as much as he's sneaky, he is still pretty tanky at that front. So it takes a full ultimate and a half. Xiaoqi wasn't ready for a re-engage onto Amar and just left that gourd wide open for just lasering everything down.
Yeah, if Alexander decides to go use the Fatal Links onto Hisham, Hisham's more than happy to handshake that one. Just one shot, zones the rest of Team Indonesia away. Lord given over the side of Team Malaysia already. Xiaoyuki trying to make a spin right there, but Nasan will have the better heavy spin as well.
They lost that Lord, but Indonesia still on the approach.
Red Wall manipulation already committed by the side of Delvin at the same time. They're trying to siege down mid. Amar going down for the count as Razif right in the midst with the Ravens Warrior. Dingarai will be able to pick up that kill, and now the Sky Pierce is stack for him. 2 members for the side. Team Malaysia 4-2 right there, but Team Malaysia has the Lord matching up top.
Oh, there's a concealed play. Hisham tries to find his way into Dingarai, but there's still Elton that you have to deal with as well. Out of all of that, though, Xiaoqi did a perfect play onto the back lines to try to disrupt Amar, but they were a little bit too greedy underneath that turret and a little bit too overreactive. Top side, Lord is marching down. Indonesia have to set someone to deal with that.
Top, nobody from the side. Team Indonesia is going to deal with top. The minute's already marching in, but if you notice Delvin, I think he's into D. The Red One manipulation is right underneath the turret, Churros.
They needed to get into Amar, so they did what they can. They sacrificed Xiaoqi, take care of that gourd, and then just let that Dignarai to just do his job. Hisham in a small bother, but he will be able to get out. That sneaky, sneaky little boy.
And also burns away Xiaoyuki's ultimate, right? But unfortunately, Hisham will need to do the same for himself. Top side, I believe that turret is already dismantled by the side of Team Malaysia. Indonesia wasn't, I don't know why the Team Indonesia doesn't go ahead up top to reinforce that particular push, allowing Team Malaysia's Lord to just push that down.
Who do you send? This is the issue. If you send Dingarai up, you have Hisham that is in that position. So Indonesia understands, okay, let's just play as 5. So if anyone is getting picked off by Hisham, we'll be there to support. And they don't need to force any situation. They don't need to force any of these team fights because they know that Malaysia is going to take that team fight towards them. So now it's just a waiting game. Wait till the Lord forms up. But Malaysia does like the fights in the jungle a little bit more than Indonesia. It's harder for them to manipulate around. It's harder for them, in the jungle at least, to form a kill box around Malaysia.
Team Malaysia is playing on the long side in against the Team Indonesia right there. You see the positioning coming out of Hisham, right, just providing so much vision for the side of Elton as well. And now Team Indonesia is forced to respawn down bot as well. Still a long time to go for the side of Lord though. On the Lord time is around 35 seconds for now. Team Malaysia pulled Team Indonesia all the way down. And now they're looking to basically set a foothold all the way up top.
It's a great 4-1 composition from Malaysia. Even though Dingarai is dealing so much damage, Malaysia is still holding on to their own, and Hisham's finding the right kills. And yes, Malaysia does not deal enough damage right now. There still is some form of reconciliation as Elton is immediately 3-0, still 3-0-1 and still building himself up. This is going to be a late game claw that Indonesia has to face.
Yep, don't forget, Dingarai is starting to stack up some Sky Piercer stack as well, so that's something that I would say it's the saving grace for the side of Team Indonesia. Once you had like, what, at least 50 or 40 stacks on the Sky Piercer, the Grandeur is online. And we've seen how, you know, Grandeur can just easily turn the game around, especially when if Team Malaysia just decides to throw bodies at Dingarai to try to shut him down. Unfortunately, right now, I feel like a lot more pressure for the side Alexander. These Fatal Links, in order just to pick up Hisham, has been great, but Hisham can just easily shimple away.
Well, that being said, though, it is still, in terms of scalability, Elton has the upper hand, and it deals so much better in terms of the tankier you are, the more damage you deal with the DHS as well.
Lord, still going down, 1/4 HP right here. Members of side Team Indonesia getting pushed away by the side of Mar. Fatal Links already committed. The Lord still secured by Team Malaysia as Elton dives all the way to the back. Dingarai in a spot of trouble, shut down, given over the side of Elton on to Dingarai as well as the fight gets peeled apart on two sides. But it seems like Avon is still healthy, but Hisham and Mar will be the lone survivor for the side Team Malaysia for now.
They split themselves up too wide. I think everything really started out strong when Malaysia started things off. They had Elton, they had Amar in the right position, using the Mystic Gush just to push everyone back as a zone potential. But Afan found his way in. That caused a trigger onto the heavy spin to try to push Afan away. Even though Malaysia took down that Lord, Indonesia was able to split up that team. But Shauki really has that late game damage on that Sora already to be able to deal with the back line. No problem at all.
Yeah, I think that's still a better alternative, right? Indonesia, catching on to Hisham. Finally, this Hisham has been a nuisance for the past, I would say, past 6 minutes, I would say. But now, as Team Indonesia deals with the Lord, that Team Malaysia spots so hard to secure. Let's break this down.
Yeah, look onto the back line. There's two members directly onto Dingarai, including Elton. So that is the main target that they wanted to deal with. Smart play from Malaysia, but it was split way too wide. You left Shauki all alone onto the back line. You don't have Mazan, you don't have Rasif there as an additional sort of like tanky backup that you so desperately need if you are a Claw.
Afan, taking all damage from the side of Elton already. He has to back out of there. I'm not too sure what he's doing there. Trying to bait out things from the side of Team Malaysia. We hit, right?
I think they were desperately trying to take down this turret, but the minions are not in their favor, though. It's still the kind of enhanced minions, so to speak, that Malaysia has in their possession is marching into all three lanes. So Indonesia, forcing that fight, you lose out your jungler. You don't really have that option to bring your jungler back in.
Yeah, Team Indonesia was able to, hold on a second, Alexander. Nasan trying to push Alexander all the way out, Fatal Links, kills, given over side, Dingarai as well. Xiaoyuki dives onto Hisham, trying to peel for his team, but he's taking so much bullet right in the face for the side of Dingarai. Alexander down low, has to pull back.
Good bait coming in from Alexander, soaking in all of that damage. Nazan flew too close to the sun, getting pulled back by the Lynx into the depths of hell itself. And Indonesia able to protect themselves so far. And the scales are tipped into at least a 500 gold lead for Malaysia, but doesn't really matter at this point. The next Lord will be the Evolved Lord, and this will be the biggest prize that Indonesia needs to fight for. They lost all the core objectives. They lost the turtles, they lost the Lord, and they really need this time around.
Yeah, at the very least, Team Indonesia was able to find the kills against Team Malaysia, right? If you notice, the goal lead is still on par But if you're talking about the scaling calm that Team Malaysia has brought, Elton has scaled. Dingarai, technically speaking, does pack quite a big punch as well. Delvin as well, right? At this point, your Eve could just easily shred through Nuzhan or even to a certain extent the Hisham as well, right? But then, you know, Indonesia has solid foothold around the Lord Pit.
They want to blitz this though. They don't know where Hisham is. He might be able to find a nice little angle
To
on the
Malaysia.
backside. Look at where that Cho is going to go.
Oh my
This is a
goodness! The flank of a lifetime coming over time Team Malaysia. Elton tag onto Dingarai. With the blaze in the way. Fights onto Dingarai. Amar going to Mr. Gus. Xiaoyuki finds him as well. And now it is going to be Team Indonesia. Alexander using the fatal links right there. But the blue HP bars are looking so healthy as Razi finishes off Xiaoyuki. Team Malaysia wins that particular Lord Brawl.
It was just not enough damage. Even with a
That was
5-man fatal links, Shunky alone couldn't control what Malaysia is bringing into this fight. It's just Atlas against the world.
Alexander against the world indeed. Mr. Gush as well doesn't really have the fatal links to buy time. And now the men's side, Team Malaysia looking to equalize the score onto the core as it is going to be a 1-1. Team Malaysia wins game 2.
A huge sigh of relief